Sometimes at night we like to go for a ride. It's like our little fun time, and we usually stop at Dairy Queen because we're addicted to sugar. But we were out running some errands, and we were in Fox Lake on Route 12, and there's tons of boats and things like that over there. It's the chain of lakes. And as we're driving, once again, I see a big sign. I feel like I'm realizing now that I see a lot of signs, quite literally, and that's what my talks are usually about. But I did see a big sign, and it said, "Free boats." And there were a bunch of big boats out there, like full boats, not little fishing boats, like full boats. And I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty generous. So as I saw this, I took a mental note of it. I know I'm not grabbing a boat. I don't even have a way to tow a boat. But I'm like, okay, let me reach out to Mabel's dad and let him know. He might be interested. I know he wants a boat. So I'm like, I'll reach out and let him know. So her and I went out, we ran our errands, got our ice cream, and then on the way back, of course, I'm like, oh, I'm going to stop by and take some pictures of the boats to send him so he can see, right? So I stopped to take some photos. It was pretty dark at this point, like pretty much pitch black. There weren't lights there or anything. So I pulled around, and I kind of parked my car and put my hazards on, and Mabel sat in the car. And I noticed there was another group they seemed very young. Like, to me, they looked probably young 20s. A bunch of guys, I think there might have been like a girlfriend or two in the truck. And they're trying to hook up the biggest boat to their truck. And he had like a big, nice truck too. So it seemed like, okay, this will work out. And so I walked around and I let them know, like, oh, I'm just taking pictures of the boats. I didn't want to freak them out. And so I walked around and I got my phone out and put the flash on, and I'm taking different photos of all the different boats that were there. And it took me a few minutes, and then I started to walk back to my car. And I went the back way because I wasn't trying to walk right in between them. They were fiddling around with the trailer and everything. And as soon as I get pretty close to my car, one of the guys is like, excuse me. I'm like, oh yeah, what's up? And he's like, hey, we're getting the boat hooked up to the truck, but there's just no way that the lights are working. Like, it's not communicating from the truck to the trailer and the boat, so there's no lights on the boat. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, do you think there's any way that you could drive behind us for us to take it down the street to Moretti's? And I'm like, we can park it there? And I was like, I didn't really think much about it. I was just like, sure, I can do that. And so I go back to the car and I get in, and Mabel's sitting in the passenger seat, and she's like, what were you talking to them about? And I told her what happened. I go, oh, they're just a bunch of young kids, and they're trying to get this boat, and they want us to follow them to Moretti's because they don't have lights. And she's like, what? She throws her seat back, leans all the way back so no one can see her. And she just acted like mortified that I said yes to this. Why would you say yes to them? And I was like, well, they're a bunch of young kids and they're trying to get a free boat. Like, that's cool. That's a cool opportunity for a bunch of young kids. Like, they got a truck to tow it. It comes on a trailer. Like, we got to help them out. She's like, I don't even get it. Why? Well, why do we even need to follow them? And I explained to her, well, if there's no lights on the boat, if a cop pulls behind them, they're going to get pulled over. It's just going to be a series of events that I don't think they want to have, right? And so I basically just said, we're doing it. Or just let's be nice, let's be kind. If you were trying to do something, whatever it is, and you had to ask someone for help, you would hope that they would say yes, right? That's for anyone or any circumstance. You don't want to get shot down. And so she was like, okay, fine. She still looked mortified, but so she understood where I was coming from, though, right? She got the point. Still a little uncomfortable for us to be following them down the street. But when the boat did, pull out onto the main road, I noticed the name on the back of the boat. George. Here it is in all its glory, okay? It's called Loose Change. That's the name of this boat. And And immediately made me think about the name, Loose Change. It made me think about not necessarily only homeless people, but you've been asked. I think we've all been asked out on the street, like, hey, do you have any loose change, any spare change? Help me out. And it made me think of that. That's where I went to. And immediately at that moment, I'm like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to be talking about, right? I want to ask you all a question. When was the last time that someone showed you unexpected kindness? Whether it was helping out with a jump, a tow, whether it was someone opening up a door for you at the store, or just, a smile, or maybe someone just showing up for you when you felt completely alone. If you're anything like me, you can remember these moments even years later. And why is that? Well, it's because kindness is not just a nice gesture. It's soul food, right? It feeds us. It feeds our soul. It reminds us that we are seen, that we are valued, and that we're part of a much bigger picture than just the here and now in our daily routines. We're connected to something much bigger than ourselves. Yet the world around us is constantly telling us, look out for number one. Look out for yourself. Don't get involved in other people's problems. Don't involve yourself. Just protect yourself, protect your own. Right? That's kind of what we hear quite a bit. We live in a culture of self-protection and self-promotion. And while healthy boundaries are great, if we follow that message too far, we risk forgetting one of the most sacred truths of life, that we were created for each other. So every spiritual tradition, whether it's the teachings of Jesus, the Buddha, the teachings of the Quran, the Torah, they all place compassion at the very heart of what it means to live a meaningful life, no matter what you practice. They all pretty much say the same thing at the root. In the Christian tradition, Jesus didn't just say, love your neighbor when it's convenient for you. He said, love your neighbor as yourself, placing the well-being of others on equal footing with the well-being of our own. And he didn't stop there. He said, love your enemies. And that's not casual kindness. That's pretty radical compassion and kindness. From a spiritual perspective, kindness isn't optional. It's our nature as human beings. The divine spark within us is designed to flow outward. When we close ourselves off to, kindness and helping others and only caring for ourselves, we're cutting off the river of life that's meant to go through us, right? That's the flow of everything, not just how kind you are, but that cuts off your flow of abundance. It cuts off your flow of moving forward in life. Because if you cut yourself off to being kind and being vulnerable and open-hearted to the world and to those around you, you're cutting yourself off to all of the goodness that's yours inherently by being a part of God, a child of God, the divine spark. But here's the reality. The world doesn't make, compassion very easy. We're surrounded by messages that glorify independence to the point of isolation. We're told that success is climbing higher and higher and higher, even if that means we're stepping on and crawling over others to get where we think we need to go. We're taught to measure our worth in likes and followers and our possessions and our worldly things, rather than, the quiet, small acts of love that we show in the shadows when no one's looking. whether that be to someone else or even to ourselves. Just as important to care about ourselves and to care for others, right? Like we have to be good to ourselves. We can't give from an empty cup, right? We have to fill ours first as well. Because of this, that kindness can start to feel a little bit risky at times. You overthink it a little bit. What if they take advantage of me? Or what if I give and I get nothing in return and it was just a waste? What if it makes me look weak? I don't know if you've ever felt like that. We don't want to look weak, right? We got to be strong and tough. But from a spiritual view, kindness is never weakness. It's divine strength. When we choose compassion in a self-centered world, we're directly resisting fear, which is the opposite of love, and separation. We're saying, I will not let the darkness around me dictate the light that is within me. We've all seen lives change from, even a single act of compassion. We all have stories, right? Of something we've seen, someone being helped on the street, somebody that was in danger, whatever it may be. We've all seen these sort of acts, and hopefully we've all been part of one, at least once in our life. Kindness doesn't just help the receiver of the kindness and the compassion. It transforms the person giving it. You can feel that difference in you when you do something good. When we act from compassion, we are essentially aligning ourselves with the heart of God and the flow of the universe. We're in flow. I don't know if you've ever been in flow where things are just really going well and everything's like aligning. It's the best feeling in the world, at least for me. There is truly, in my opinion, nothing better than that feeling when you're just like, divinely aligned. I am where I'm supposed to be. And you can feel it because you're seeing it lining up in your life. It's an interconnected web, isn't it? And we're also, when we do this, we're reminded that we are not small. We're not individual beings. We're not selfish things. We're vast and expansive, and we're meant to hold others. And the beautiful paradox is that in a world that says, take care of yourself first, spiritual truth says that when we care for others, we actually are caring for ourselves. And why is that? Because we are all part of one body, one family, one divine creation. We're all a part of Source, right? So helping others is helping ourselves, and so on and so forth. So how do we do this? How do we live with both kindness, compassion, when the noise of the seemingly selfish world around us tells us to harden our hearts and be tough and don't ever worry about anyone else, you worry about you, right? How do we do that? We can start small, just a small thing, a smile to someone on the street, right? A word of encouragement for somebody that you know, whether they're going through it or not. You never know. Letting someone go ahead of in line. Isn't that awesome when you go to the store and you have like a banana and like a thing of milk and the guy in front of you's got like 3 carts and they're like, oh, you can go ahead. You're like, oh, no, it's okay. And no, go ahead. Secretly, you're like, thank God, because I don't have to wait behind that. But, these are all ripples. They travel out further than I think we all realize. Makes a difference, right? It's like paying it forward. We can see people and really see them. Not just their situation, but their humanity. When we speak to people, sometimes it's uncomfortable, and I think the further and further we're getting along into our human evolution, looking people in the eyes is getting more difficult for people, especially younger generations. And at times it is awkward, but it makes a big difference. When someone looks into your eyes, they're recognizing like you're a human being just like I am, and I'm connecting with you into your soul through your eyes. They say they're the window to the soul. And you can feel that when you look into someone's eyes. You're acknowledging their worth, right? We can be generous with grace. Everyone is out there carrying burdens that we know nothing about. Some of them are much deeper than others, but we all have them. And you know what? We can't see them, but sometimes the greatest kindness is to just be there with someone without judgment. No matter what the circumstances are, we're all going through things that people don't know anything about. And staying rooted in spirit, right? Pray, meditate, read, books that are spiritual, listen to things, podcasts, whatever it may be. If you stay rooted and grounded in that, it's going to help you to reconnect to the source. Because when you're not really connected, at least for me, I start to feel just much more bogged down. Life gets you down way, way, way quicker and easier when you're not really rooted in and you're not keeping yourself invested into your spiritual practice or even just taking in spiritual information. I'll be real, I've been feeling that way lately. I've been feeling like, I haven't been listening to as much of my, my spiritual-based books, and I haven't been listening or reading as much of this or that or doing as much meditation. And I start to feel like, I'm feeling very 3D Matrix right now, like stuck here in this physical world. So the more that we can do that, and the more that we stay in that, the easier it's going to be to show kindness and compassion, because we're going to really see each other as a part of us and a part of the source, all in one. Kindness isn't just a trend, right? It's not a good habit, and it's not something we should just tack into our lives like a check mark, right? It's the lifeblood of our existence. Sometimes easier than other times, but when the world says only care for yourself, we can all stand as living proof that there is a better way, a way of love, a way of compassion, a way that reflects the heart of the divine, no matter what the circumstances. Sometimes things are tricky, especially with the ones that are closest to us, right? Not that we intentionally take advantage, but sometimes it's easy to not be kind to the people that are close to us, probably because we know that they're going to be stuck with us anyway. So if we're kind of bratty or we're kind of a little rough or not as kind or compassionate as we can be, it's because we know, well, they love us, they're my family, and vice versa. So it's really important that we always make sure to hold all those ideas in mind and apologize when we're wrong. Say, I love you, I'm sorry. I'm going to take this time now to tell my daughter, Mabel, I love you, and I'm sorry I took your phone. And I know you're really, really upset with me for that, but I love you, and I hope you know I'm doing it for your own well-being. So we can all take these moments to just think about the things that would make us feel a little lighter, right? And show love to the people that we love and even the ones that we don't. Okay, because we all come from the same place. So may we leave here today with our hearts soft and our spirits ready, not just to be kind when it's easy, but to be radically kind when it's costly. Because every act of compassion is a small rebellion against the selfishness of the age and a step toward the kingdom of heaven here and now. So please go out into the world making sure that you share your loose change with those around you.